Imagine walking into a room full of people with straight faces. Stiff, serious, like they just ate a lemon. Now picture the same room, but someone cracks a genuine smile. Suddenly, the walls don't feel so heavy. The air doesn't feel so thick. You feel lighter, don't you? That's the power of a smile. Imagine walking into a room full of people with straight faces. Stiff, serious, like they just ate a lemon. Now picture the same room, but someone cracks a genuine smile. Suddenly, the walls don't feel so heavy. The air doesn't feel so thick. You feel lighter, don't you? That's the power of a smile. And I'm not talking about the forced, say cheese, kind of grin where your cheeks start shaking like you're holding in a sneeze. I'm talking about the real heart-sparking kind of smile that sneaks up on you when you remember something beautiful. When a child waves at you, or when you see a puppy that clearly doesn't know how its legs work yet. Here's the amazing thing. Science says that when you smile, your brain actually changes. It releases dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. Fancy words for happy juice. It's like your own built-in pharmacy with no side effects except maybe laugh lines, which, by the way, are the best wrinkles you can ever earn. Smiling doesn't just express joy, it creates joy. Your body hears the message and goes, oh, we must be happy now. Let's roll with it. But it doesn't stop with you. A smile is one of the most contagious things in the world, and not in the way you need hand sanitizer. One smile in a crowded subway can ripple like dominoes. Someone sees your smile, they mirror it without even knowing, and suddenly the whole car feels a little less like a metal can of stress sardines. Think about it. Wars have been started with frowns, but peace has been invited in with a smile. And here's something you need to tuck in your back pocket for the hard days. Smiling actually lowers stress. When life is throwing curveballs, deadlines, heartbreaks, and bills, the simple act of smiling tells your body, it's okay. You've got this. It lowers cortisol, that nasty stress hormone, and gives your nervous system a little break. Smiling doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means giving yourself enough oxygen to face them. It's like armor made of light. You know what else? Smiling builds bridges. People are naturally drawn to smilers because it signals safety, trust, and warmth. You could have all the degrees, all the power, all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't smile at another human being, you'll never connect. A smile is the fastest passport through the walls people put up. And the beautiful thing is, it costs absolutely nothing. Free. Unlimited refills. The most powerful part, smiling lets you reframe challenges. The moment you smile at something painful or scary, you shrink its power over you. You're telling the universe, I see your storm, but I'm still going to shine. That's not denial, that's defiance. That's courage disguised as louder. And when you practice this enough, you become unstoppable. So yes, the world looks brighter when you're smiling, not because the world magically changes, but because you do. You become a light in the dark, a ripple in the silence, a spark in the cold. So go ahead, smile when you wake up, smile at strangers, smile when you're scared, and especially smile when life tries to knock you down. Because every time you do, you're proving that joy is not something we wait for, it's something we create. When you smile, something extraordinary happens inside your brain, and most of us don't even realize it. The simple act of pulling those muscles in your face upward triggers a cascade of changes that go far deeper than just appearances. It's not just about looking pleasant in a photograph or making sure your boss doesn't think you're cranky on a Monday morning. It's about chemistry, your own internal science lab firing up in the most magical way. The moment you smile, your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, these beautiful little chemicals that act like sunlight in your bloodstream. They wash over you, and suddenly, without even realizing it, your mood begins to shift. What once felt heavy begins to feel just a little lighter. That's not magic. It's biology, and it's happening inside you every single time you choose to smile. Think about how remarkable that is. We spend so much of our lives searching for happiness in the big, shiny places. We think we need a promotion, a new car, the perfect relationship, or the dream vacation to feel that spark of joy. But here's the truth. Your brain doesn't need a plane ticket to Bali to feel better. Sometimes all it needs is for you to smile. That little gesture tells your nervous system, it's okay, we're safe, let's release the good stuff. And once those neurotransmitters start flowing, your body responds in kind. Your heart rate steadies, your muscles relax, and your mind feels clearer. In that single moment, a smile becomes a free therapy session. No prescription needed, no waiting room required. Now imagine the possibilities if you actually practice this intentionally. Let's say you're stuck in traffic, your hands gripping the steering wheel, your thoughts spiraling about being late for work, about the boss waiting with questions, about the day already starting in chaos. You could stew in that frustration, feel your blood pressure rising, or you could smile. Not a fake one plastered on like a mask, but a real, honest to goodness smile at the absurdity of it all. Suddenly, the tension begins to loosen. Your brain receives the signal. We're choosing lightness over darkness. Your shoulders drop, your breath slows, and before you know it, you've turned a traffic jam into an opportunity for calm. That's the science of smiling working in your favor. And here's something worth considering. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a genuine smile and a practiced one. Isn't that incredible? You can literally trick your own system into releasing the happy chemicals by simply choosing to smile, even if you don't initially feel like it. Of course, the genuine, spontaneous smile has its own unique power, but even a conscious effort to grin when life feels bleak can set the wheels of joy in motion. In a way, it's like flipping a switch. You don't have to wait for happiness to arrive before you smile. You can smile first, and the happiness will often follow. What I love about this is how empowering it is. So often, we feel like we are at the mercy of our moods. If we wake up tired, if we argue with someone, if the weather is gloomy, we think, well, today's ruined. But when you understand the science of smiling, you realize you always have a tool in your pocket. You don't have to be a prisoner to circumstance. You can, with something as simple as a smile, take back a bit of control over how you feel. And in this world where so many things feel unpredictable, isn't it a relief to know you carry this small, powerful secret weapon with you everywhere? Of course, let's not pretend smiling solves everything. Life has real struggles, deep pains, and challenges that cannot be erased with a grin. But what smiling does is it changes how you face those challenges. It creates a small chemical shift that gives you more resilience. It gives you enough oxygen to think clearer, to calm down, and to take the next step with a little more strength. And isn't that what we all need in difficult times? Not an escape from reality, but the strength to walk through it with grace. Picture this. A student sits before a difficult exam, palms sweating, heart pounding. The anxiety is crushing, the pressure feels unbearable. Now imagine that same student takes one deep breath and smiles, even if just to themselves. Their brain receives the message, slow down, it's manageable, we've got this. That little burst of endorphins steadies their hand, clears the fog in their mind, and suddenly the mountain in front of them doesn't look so impossible. That's not luck. That's the science of smiling at work, giving the body what it needs to keep going. And this is why, in classrooms, workplaces, hospitals, and homes, smiling is not just a pleasantry, it's medicine. Teachers who smile when they greet their students change the chemistry of that entire room. Doctors who smile at patients reduce the fear that often accompanies illness. Parents who smile at their children after a long day remind them that no matter how hard life gets, warmth and safety are still possible. These smiles are not trivial, they are signals to the human brain that life is still worth holding on to, even when it's tough. So the next time you catch yourself sinking under the weight of stress or negativity, remember this truth: you are not powerless. You have a pharmacy in your own body, and the key to opening it is something as simple as curling the corners of your mouth upward. You have a gift that doesn't cost a cent, doesn't require approval, and doesn't depend on anyone else giving it to you. The gift of a smile is not just cosmetic. It's chemical, it's biological, and it's transformational. The world might look overwhelming, unpredictable, and dark at times. But when you smile, you give your brain and your body permission to experience a brighter reality. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed your state within it. And sometimes that tiny shift in chemistry is all you need to keep walking, keep hoping, and keep believing. Smiling is one of the few human behaviors that truly transcends borders, languages, and cultures. You don't need a translator. You don't need subtitles. You don't even need words. Just one curve of the lips and the message is universal. What's more incredible is that smiling is contagious. It doesn't just stay on your face. It jumps from you to the person next to you, to the one across the room, to a stranger passing by, until a whole space can shift in energy because one person decided to smile. Think about that for a second. How powerful must something be if it can change the mood of a group without a single word spoken? Picture this. You're walking down the street, weighed down by your own thoughts, maybe even a little grumpy. Someone walking by flashes you a smile, not the polite, half-hearted kind, but the genuine, glowing kind that says, "I see you, and I hope you're okay." For a moment, you forget the heaviness in your chest. Without even trying, you feel your own lips twitch upward. That's the magic. It spreads without permission, without effort. Your mirror neurons, those little brain cells designed to mimic what we see, kick in automatically. Smiles are contagious because your brain is wired to reflect what's in front of it. In a very real sense, the smile of another person rewires your mood. This is why group environments transform so quickly with a single smile. Imagine being in a meeting where everyone's serious, stiff, focused on problems. The atmosphere feels tense, like walking on eggshells. Now, someone cracks a smile, not mocking, not dismissive, but an authentic, warm smile that says, We're in this together. The tension breaks, people breathe easier, jokes start to slip in, ideas flow. The smile was the spark that shifted the whole dynamic. And here's the beauty, it works in classrooms and offices and families, and even on crowded buses where no one knows each other's names. The ripple effect of smiling is backed by research. Studies have shown that when you see someone smile, the reward center in your brain lights up as though you were the one feeling joy. That's why when you see children laughing uncontrollably, you can't help but laugh along, even if you don't know what's funny. Their happiness seeps into your bloodstream. That's why sitcoms added laugh tracks, because even recorded laughter and smiling voices trick your brain into enjoying the show more. It's not manipulation, it's biology. We're social creatures wired to share emotions, and smiles are the fastest delivery system of joy we've got. Now, imagine this power multiplied. A single smile can brighten one person's day. But what happens when you smile at 10 people? What happens when those 10 people carry that smile into their own circles? At work, at home, with their friends. Suddenly, your one small gesture has traveled far beyond you. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond and watching the ripples touch every corner. Most of us underestimate the size of our influence, but when you realize that your smile might ripple into hundreds of unseen lives, you understand how enormous the gift really is. Think about communities that are struggling, weighed down by hardship. In those moments, people often believe they are powerless. But even in those heavy spaces, a smile can be a quiet rebellion. It says, even here, even now, joy is possible. In hospitals, nurses who smile at patients don't just give them comfort, they improve healing outcomes because patients feel safer, calmer, and more hopeful. In schools, teachers who greet students with smiles create classrooms where children feel valued, respected, and motivated to learn. Smiles are not decoration, they're fuel. They create environments where growth and healing are possible. And isn't it fascinating how a smile doesn't just spread outward, but boomerangs back to you? You smile at someone, they smile back, and suddenly your own joy is magnified. It's like giving away light, but realizing the glow stays with you too. That's why people who smile more often are not just seen as more approachable and likable, but they also report feeling happier overall. They've created a cycle of joy that feeds itself endlessly. This contagious nature of smiling reminds us of our responsibility. Every time we interact with someone, we have a choice to pass on stress, irritation, or coldness, or to pass on warmth and light. What would happen if you decided to be intentional about spreading smiles every day? A smile to the cashier who's exhausted after standing for 8 hours. A smile to the colleague who feels invisible. A smile to the stranger who looks like the world has forgotten them. You may never know the full impact, but you can be certain it is there. And in a world that often feels divided, where differences seem louder than similarities, smiling bridges gaps. It bypasses politics, religion, culture, and language. It speaks directly to the human heart. You can be in a foreign country, unable to read a sign or understand a word, and still find common ground through a smile. In that instant, you're not strangers. You're two human beings sharing a universal language of kindness. Stress is one of those things we all know too well. It sneaks into our lives like an uninvited guest, plops itself down on the couch, and eats all the snacks in the fridge. It shows up as tight shoulders, a pounding heart, restless nights, and that constant inner voice whispering, "You're not ready, you're not enough. You're going to mess this up." But here's where something as simple as smiling becomes a secret weapon. Science tells us that when we smile, even in the middle of stress, we actually reduce the levels of cortisol in our body, that nasty hormone that fuels anxiety and keeps us in fight or flight mode. Smiling is like opening a window in a stuffy room. Suddenly the air shifts and your body starts to relax. The more you practice it, the more you realize smiling isn't denial, it's resilience. Picture this. You're standing before a huge presentation, your palms sweaty, your stomach twisted in knots. Your mind is racing through every possible way this could go wrong. Now you take one breath, lift your chin and smile. What happens? Your body reads that smile as a signal that danger is not as big as your brain is making it seem. Your breathing steadies, your heart rate begins to slow, and your mind starts to clear. The smile doesn't make the presentation disappear, but it makes you stronger in facing it. Stress shrinks when you smile, not because the world suddenly gets easier, but because you tell your body, "I can handle this." That small shift turns fear into focus. Resilience isn't about never feeling stress. It's about how quickly you recover from it. And smiling is one of the fastest recovery tools we have. Athletes use it all the time. Watch runners in a marathon drenched in sweat, legs screaming in pain, faces contorted with effort. And then you'll see some of them smile mid-run. It's not because they suddenly forgot their muscles are on fire. It's because they know smiling tricks the brain into releasing endorphins, Those natural painkillers that ease the discomfort and help them push through. That smile is a resilience tool, a way to tell the body, we're not suffering, we're thriving. And with that, they keep going. The same works in daily life. Think about those small but constant stresses, traffic, bills, arguments, unexpected problems. When you're frowning your way through them, your body stays tense, your mind stays foggy, and everything feels heavier. But when you choose to smile, even for a few seconds, it breaks the cycle. Your nervous system gets a reset. You remind yourself that stress doesn't own you. You get to choose how you respond. That's resilience in action. And here's another layer. Smiling during stress not only calms you down, but it calms the people around you. Stress is contagious just like smiles. If you're in a team setting and one person panics, the whole group feels the ripple. But if one person smiles with steady confidence, others borrow that energy. Think of parents with children. When a child is hurt or afraid, they look at the parent's face to decide how bad things are. If the parent is pale and panicked, the child's fear doubles. But if the parent smiles gently, reassuringly, the child's nervous system relaxes. The stress doesn't disappear, but the resilience grows. A smile in the face of stress communicates, we're safe, we're strong, we're going to be okay. It's easy to underestimate this because we've been taught to think strength looks like gritting our teeth, powering through, or wearing a stern face. But true strength is being able to smile in the storm. It's looking at a mountain and grinning as if to say, you don't scare me. That smile becomes a shield, a form of mental armor. And over time, the more you practice it, the more automatic it becomes. Your body learns that stress doesn't mean collapse. It means opportunity to rise. Let's ground this in real life. Imagine you're in a hospital waiting room. Everyone is tense, worried, restless. The air is thick with fear. And then one nurse comes in smiling, not inappropriately, not dismissing the gravity of the situation, but carrying that quiet assurance in their face. Suddenly, patients breathe easier. Families unclench their fists. That single smile transforms the atmosphere. It doesn't cure illness, but it gives resilience to everyone in that room. That's the power you carry every time you choose to smile in the face of stress. And here's the most empowering part. Smiling during stress actually rewires your brain over time. Every time you smile when things are hard, you're teaching your brain a new pattern. Instead of spiraling into panic, your brain learns to anchor itself in calm. Instead of seeing every challenge as a threat, it begins to see it as manageable. This is neuroplasticity in action. Your brain's ability to reshape itself based on your habits. Smiling becomes not just a momentary relief, but a long-term investment in resilience. So the next time life feels overwhelming, when the deadlines stack up, when relationships get messy, when the future feels uncertain, remember that your smile is not trivial. It is a tool. It is a way to tell your body and your mind, I am not broken. I am bending, but I will not break. Smiling doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to face stress with grace, with lightness, with the unshakable belief that you will rise again. Human beings are wired for connection. And smiling is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways we bridge the gap between ourselves and others. It doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak, or what your background is, a smile is universally understood as a sign of warmth, safety, and welcome. When you smile at someone, you're essentially saying, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I'm open to you. That small gesture can dissolve walls that words can't break down. And this is why smiling is such an essential tool for improving social connection. It opens doors and builds trust and creates a space where authentic relationships can grow. Think about the last time you walked into a new environment. A classroom on your first day of school, a job interview, a party where you didn't know anyone. Your body tensed, your heart beat a little faster, and you felt uncertain. Now imagine that in the middle of that discomfort, someone smiled at you. Not out of politeness, but with genuine kindness. Suddenly, your anxiety dropped. You felt welcome, maybe even valued. That one smile made the unfamiliar a little more familiar. The intimidating a little less frightening. That's the social magic of smiling. It changes how we relate to one another instantly. There's solid science behind this. Smiling activates the orbitofrontal cortex in your brain, the area responsible for processing reward value. In simpler terms, your brain interprets someone else's smile as a gift, a reward, a sign that they're safe to approach. This is why we tend to gravitate toward people who smile often. They literally make our brains feel good. And here's the beautiful reciprocity of it. When you smile at someone, not only do they feel better, but they're more likely to smile back, and in that moment, a bond is formed. Smiling creates a loop of positive reinforcement, and that loop is the foundation of trust. Now let's take this into practical spaces. In the workplace, a smile can mean the difference between collaboration and conflict. A manager who smiles when giving feedback creates an atmosphere where employees feel supported rather than attacked. A team that smiles during meetings signals openness to ideas and a willingness to listen. Smiles don't erase disagreements, but they soften them, making it possible for solutions to emerge without bitterness. Social connection thrives in environments where smiles are frequent because they communicate respect and understanding without needing lengthy explanations. The same is true in families. A home where smiles are shared is a home where love feels visible. Parents who smile at their children communicate pride, encouragement, and unconditional care. Partners who smile at each other in the middle of ordinary routines, washing dishes, folding laundry, passing in the hallway, reinforce intimacy without needing grand gestures. Smiles say what words sometimes cannot. I am with you. I appreciate you. I love you. And when children grow up in environments where smiles are abundant, they learn to replicate that in their own friendships and relationships, carrying the legacy of connection forward. But perhaps the most striking impact of smiles is in moments of division. Think about two strangers from entirely different cultures meeting for the first time. They may not share a single word of common language, but when one smiles, the other understands the barriers dissolve. The smile communicates peace, non-threatening intentions, and an invitation to connect. This is why smiling is such a powerful tool in travel, diplomacy, and multicultural communities. It bypasses the need for translation and speaks directly to the heart. There's also something deeply healing about smiles in strained relationships. We all know how hard it is to apologize, to admit mistakes, to rebuild trust. Words can feel clumsy or inadequate, but a sincere smile, a smile that says, "I'm sorry, I want to make things right," often carries more weight than rehearsed speeches. It softens the anger in the other person, creates space for forgiveness, and opens the door for reconciliation. Smiles mend what harsh words have broken. And here's a secret most people don't realize. Smiling not only attracts people to you, but it also changes how they perceive you. Studies show that people who smile are seen as more competent, approachable, and trustworthy. When you smile, you instantly become someone others feel safe with. That's why job interviews go better when candidates smile genuinely, why friendships form faster when smiles are exchanged, and why leaders who smile are often more effective at inspiring loyalty. A smile doesn't make you flawless, but it makes you relatable. And in human relationships, relatability often matters more than perfection. Yet the power of smiling isn't about manipulation. It's about authenticity. People can sense when a smile is forced, and that kind of insincerity builds walls rather than bridges. But when your smile comes from a genuine place, when it reflects real kindness, joy, or empathy, it has the power to transform interactions. Authentic smiles are like open doors. You're letting someone step into your world without fear. And in a society that often feels disconnected, where screens replace face-to-face contact and stress overshadows kindness, choosing to smile authentically becomes an act of courage. It's saying, I still believe in human connection. So what does this mean for you in your daily life? It means that every smile you offer has the potential to change not just your own day, but someone else's. It means that in every interaction, at the grocery store, on the subway, in a classroom, in a meeting, you have the power to create connection where none existed before. It means that smiling is not a small courtesy. It's a tool for building a kinder, stronger, more connected world. When you smile, you're not just moving your facial muscles. You're building bridges. You're telling the people around you, you matter. You're seen. You're safe. And when enough of us choose to smile, the ripples of connection grow until whole communities feel lighter, warmer, and stronger. Smiling, in its simplicity, is one of the most powerful social tools we have. And the best part is, it costs absolutely nothing. Life doesn't spare anyone from challenges. We all face loss, rejection, disappointment, and moments where the weight of the world feels unbearable. Sometimes it feels like we're standing in the middle of a storm without an umbrella, watching the rain soak through everything we thought was safe and secure. But here's where smiling takes on its most powerful role, not as a denial of reality, but as a way of reframing it. When you smile in the middle of a challenge, you're not saying everything is perfect. You're saying, this challenge does not define me. I still have light inside me. That shift in perspective is what makes smiling such a remarkable tool for reframing obstacles. Consider this when you encounter difficulties. Your first instinct is often to tighten up. Your brow furrows, your jaw clenches, your shoulders hunch. Your entire body prepares for battle, and your mind narrows its focus on the problem. But when you smile, even just a small intentional smile, you interrupt that pattern. Your brain interprets the smile as a sign that things are manageable, and in response, it releases those feel-good chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. Suddenly, the challenge feels less like a wall and more like a hurdle. You haven't erased the obstacle, but you've reframed how you see it. The wall no longer towers over you. It becomes something you can climb. Think about people who go through extraordinary hardship, illness, poverty, or personal tragedy, and still manage to smile. That smile is not ignorance. It is defiance. It is a declaration that circumstances may bruise the body but cannot break the spirit. In fact, some of the most resilient individuals on this planet are those who have learned to smile in the darkest of times. Their smile reframes suffering as strength, loss as lesson, pain as teacher. And when we witness that, we're inspired because it reminds us that joy is not a fragile thing that disappears in hard times. It's a force that can coexist with struggle and even transform it. Let's make this practical. Imagine you fail at something important. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted. Maybe your business idea collapsed. Maybe a relationship ended. The natural response is to feel crushed, to let the weight of failure dictate your worth. But if in that moment you can smile, even through the sting, you're telling yourself a different story. You're saying, this is not the end of me. This is the beginning of something new. That smile reframes failure as feedback, as redirection rather than destruction. And from that reframing comes growth, resilience, and eventually success. There's also something profoundly healing about smiling through small, everyday setbacks. Maybe you spill coffee on your shirt before an important meeting. You could curse stress and let it ruin your whole day. Or you could smile at the absurdity of it. By choosing humor over frustration, you reframe the situation. Instead of seeing yourself as unlucky, you see yourself as human. And that shift, though tiny, protects your energy for the things that actually matter. Smiling also reframes how others perceive your challenges. When you face difficulties but continue to smile, people see strength in you. They don't see a victim. They see a fighter. That doesn't mean you have to fake positivity or hide your struggles, but it does mean your smile becomes a signal to the world that you are not defeated. And in turn, others are drawn to that strength. They feel hope in your presence, and sometimes they even borrow your resilience to face their own challenges. Your smile doesn't just reframe your perspective, it reframes theirs too. This is why leaders, teachers, parents, and mentors often lean on smiles in tough situations. A coach smiling at a team after a loss reframes the defeat as an opportunity to learn. A teacher smiling at a struggling student reframes failure as potential waiting to be unlocked. A parent smiling at a child after a mistake reframes shame as growth. In each case, the smile doesn't ignore the reality of the challenge. It transforms it into something hopeful, something constructive. Here's the deeper truth. Reframing challenges with a smile doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means refusing to let difficulty steal your joy. It means recognizing that while you may not control what happens to you, you absolutely control how you respond. And when you respond with a smile, you take back power from the situation. You declare that your spirit is stronger than the storm. So the next time life throws something heavy at you, pause for a moment, take a breath, and smile, not because the problem has disappeared, but because you know you're capable of surviving it, learning from it, and even growing because of it. That smile becomes a lens that reshapes the entire picture. Where others see only defeat, you begin to see possibility. Where others see only pain, you begin to see wisdom. Where others see only endings, you begin to see beginnings. And so as we bring this journey to a close, remember that smiling is not some shallow act reserved for happy days. It is a quiet revolution, a declaration of strength, and a choice to see life through the lens of possibility. Every time you smile, you are telling your heart, your mind, and even the world around you that you are bigger than your fear, greater than your failures, and stronger than the challenges that try to hold you down. That one small curve of the lips has the power to soften pain, to build bridges, to heal wounds, to create resilience, and to light up even the darkest corners of your life. It is proof that even when life feels heavy, joy can still be found, not because everything is perfect, but because you've chosen to keep your spirit alive. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, dare to smile, not a fake smile, not a forced one, but the kind that whispers, I am still here, I am still standing, and I will not be broken. That, my friends, is the magic of smiling. It's not just an expression, it's a way of living.